It's Sarah, and welcome to our first crochet pattern video of 2021. Now, our first video is a Valentine coaster, and it's a little bigger than your average coaster. It measures about 5 by 5 inches, so it's the perfect size for a coffee cup like this one, or a nice wide bottom wine glass or a regular glass. You can also use it as a small doily to maybe put a candle or a candy dish on. I also think they would look really cute, all hooked together and made into an adorable scarf. Or maybe just make a bunting. There are lots of fun things that you can do with this crochet pattern. Now you can find this pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, let's talk yarn. Now I designed these just using basic acrylic medium weight number 4 yarns. This red is Red Heart Super Saver, and this trim of white is also just white Red Heart Super Saver. This one is some leftover Mandela yarn that I had on hand that has kind of a variegated pink and purple and blue in it, and I think it turned out really pretty. The trim on this one is a Red Heart Super Saver that has little flecks of different colors. I thought they looked great together. And so all you need to do is get into your yarn stash that you didn't use last year and make some gorgeous hearts for this year. I'm going to be using this purple. It's like an orchid light purple, and this white. These are both Red Heart Super Saver yarn that I had on hand. And again, you need less than an ounce of each color. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook. It is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You need your scissors, and of course you need a needle just to weave in those ends. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 5 chains. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle. So we'll pull that tail of yarn through that loop, and we'll just snug everything down. Tie that stay knot so our loop doesn't come undone. Now we'll put our hook in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. This chain 3 counts as one double crochet, and we need to stitch 11 more, so we have 12, and we will be stitching over this tail of yarn. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. So our chain 3 is 1, and we did 1, so we need 10 more. All right, let's see how many I have stitched so far. Here's our chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this one will be a total of 12. Our chain 3 counted as 1, and we stitched 11 more. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now, at this point, you can turn it over, gently pull on that string, and that hole will close. Go ahead and grab that needle and weave that in. Now, you could wait till the end of the project to do this, but I like to just go ahead and get it over with. Stitching back and forth. That way the hole on our Valentine coaster is all closed up. All right, so for row 1, we have 12 double crochets, join, and chain 3. For row 2, we're going to be stitching 2 double crochets in each of our double crochets around. Our chain 3 counted as our first, so we'll stitch another one right in that same stitch as our double crochet. Now we'll go to the next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets. 2 double crochets in each of those 12 double crochets around. And this is forming the center of our coaster, so it has a nice flat place to put our cup or glass. Two double crochets in each of the double crochets around. Then we'll join back to our chain 3. I have stitched 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around, so I have 24 double crochets. I'm going to join to the chain 3 and chain 3. And again, this chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. Now in this stitch, we're going to stitch another double crochet. We're going to chain 2 and stitch 2 more double crochets in this same stitch. Whoops. There we go. And chain 2. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. Then we'll chain 2. We'll skip the next 2 stitches and stitch 2 double crochets. 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. All in that same stitch, and then chain 2. So we made a corner here, and we made a corner here. All right, we'll skip the next 2 stitches and stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2, and chain 2. And so what we're doing is we're taking our circle and forming it into a square. And we'll repeat what we did here and here 2 more times. You'll skip the next 2. Oops, already got my yarn over there. Alrighty, and we'll stitch 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets in the same double crochet stitch, chain 2, skip the next 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2 and chain 2. All right, then we'll repeat that again and we'll join back to our chain 3. I completed that last 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, skip 2, 2 double crochets in the next, skip the last 2, and we're going to join to our chain 3. Only this time we're only going to chain 1. And now we're going to begin forming the heart shape of our coaster. All right, so we're going to single crochet in the next 2 double crochets. So single crochet in this one, then single crochet in the next double crochet. Now we're going to single crochet in this chain 2 space, and we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. All right, now we're going to go to this next chain 2 space, and we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Now in this next stitch we'll be stitching between these 2 double crochets, and we're going to stitch 3 triples. So 2 wraps on your hook, go in between those 2 stitches and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over, and go through the third 2. So that's 1 triple, and we need to stitch 2 more in this same space. 2 wraps, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over, and go through the third. And then we'll repeat that. So now we have 3 triples stitched between those 2 double crochets. Now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space on this side. Double crochets, not triples. 1 and 2. And this is forming the first bump on our heart. Now we're going to chain 2. We're going to single crochet in this chain 2 space, and we're going to chain 2. That's the center of our heart. Now we'll come to this chain 2 space and stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now we have these 2 double crochets, and we're going to stitch 3 triples in between those 2 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then 2 double crochets in this chain 2 space. 1 and 2. We'll go ahead and chain 2 and single crochet in this chain 2 space. All right, and before we go on down around, I want you to take a look at this. We've began to form the 2 humps or bumps of our hearts. Double crochets, 3 triples, 2 double crochets. We did a single in the middle there. 2 double crochets, 3 triples, and 2 double crochets. Now we're going to be single crocheting, working down and then back over here where we began. So we're going to single crochet in these 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Now we'll stitch 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. 1 single crochet in the 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the 2 doubles. And this brings us to our point. And that's going to give a little extra point in the point of our heart just by adding that 1 chain 1. 1 single crochet in the next 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 and 2. 1 single crochet in these 2 double crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. We'll join to our first single crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. So now we have the beginnings of our 2 heart bumps and our point, and we just have to go over this one more time to give it a little more definition, and then we'll add our trim. All right, let's do row 5. What we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in the first 4 singles. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're slip stitching in the 2 double crochets and then the next 2 stitches. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to place 2 single crochets in this chain 2 space. 1, 2. We're going to double crochet in these 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And this brings us to our center here where we have of our first hump of our heart, where we have 3 triples. We're going to stitch 2 triples in each of those 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. So we stitched a double crochet in each of the 2 double crochets. Then we stitched 2 triples in each of those 3, so we have 6 triples. Now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And you can see this is giving nice definition to the top of our heart. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to stitch 2 single crochets in this chain 2 space. So 1 and 2. We're going to single crochet in that single crochet there in the center. Then we'll single crochet in this chain 2 space. 1 and 2. And this brings us to the other bump or hump of our heart, where we have the 2 double crochets, 3 triples, and 2 double crochets. And so we'll stitch it the same way we did over here. We'll stitch 1 double crochet in those 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Then we'll stitch 2 triples in each of these 3 triples. So 2 wraps on your hook. 1, 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. So now I have those 6 triples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then that brings us to those 2 double crochets. So we'll stitch a double crochet in each of those 2. 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, and then we're going to join right there to that single crochet with a slip stitch. We're going to cut off our yarn, but we're not going to tie off because now we're going to add the white lacy trim. But this is the way that your heart should look after row 5. Now just a reminder, we're not single crocheting back down and coming back over here. We're just going to stop right here. Alright, so we slip stitch in our last stitch. We're going to bring in our white. We're going to chain 1. We'll snug that down. And now we're going to chain 3. And the way the repeat goes on the trim is chain 3. We're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next. Chain 3, skip the next stitch, and single crochet in the next. And we'll work this all the way around our heart. Now, if you don't want your lace to be quite so lacy, you can chain 2 instead of 3, and it ends up not being quite so lacy if you prefer that. Some people prefer a nice lacy edge and some people don't. And so I always give you that option as well. Alright, so we're just going to work all the way around. There we go. Chain 3, skip the next stitch, and single crochet in the next. And this gives us a nice lacy finish to our heart. We'll do this all the way around and work back and join back over here. I've stitched my lacy trim all the way around, and I'm going to join back over here. I'm going to cut my yarn, and I want to make sure that I pull that loop to the back and tie off to the back. There we go. And there's my lacy heart. I do have a little bit of weaving in to do back here, and that's why you need your needle to weave it in. So I'm just going to take a minute or two and tidy up my heart. Here's the purple heart that we made together, and then here are the other two. And I hope that you will make a bunch of these. They're super fun to make, and they just have so many different ways that you can use them. Like I said, they can be appliques, they can be coasters, decorations, mini doilies, and lots of other fun uses.